I just came for ice cream, my mom owns the restaurant here. Jaden said softly as he stepped into the hotel lobby, gripping $2 crumpled dollars. The manager looked him up and down, skin, clothes, shoes, then scoffed. Sure she does. Without a second thought, he pointed toward the door. Get out, kid. This place isn't for you. Behind the counter, Jaden's white classmate, Chloe, the manager's daughter, laughed out loud. You. Here. What are you doing, delivering trash for your mom? Jaden stood frozen, cheeks burning, heart pounding. He wasn't just being turned away, he was being dismissed. But just as he turned to leave, the glass doors opened, and a sharp voice sliced through the air. Excuse me, what did you just say to my son? The room went silent. Because standing there, fierce and composed, was the very woman whose restaurant kept this hotel's name in luxury magazines. Jaden's mother. The owner. And in the next few minutes, the man who mocked her son would realize. He just made a mistake the entire hotel would never forget. Backhand index pointing right. Stay with us, and if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, don't forget to subscribe to Behind the Billions. Before we dive into the story, let us know where you are watching from. We would love to hear your thought. Jaden stepped into the glossy, chandelier-lit lobby of the Grand Marks Hotel with quiet awe. Everything gleamed, golden accents on the pillars, velvet couches by the windows, and the soft sound of piano music drifting from somewhere unseen. But Jaden wasn't here for the scenery. He was here for one thing. Ice cream. He clutched 2 wrinkled dollar bills in his hand, slightly sweaty from how tightly he was holding them. His mother's restaurant, Jordan's Table, was just around the corner, nestled inside the hotel. Every Friday, after school, she let him stop by to grab a scoop of her famous homemade vanilla bean gelato. She'd always smile and say, "Go ahead, baby. 1 scoop. That's your reward for being brave in this world." Jaden was only 12, but he understood more about the world than most people gave him credit for. He knew when people looked at him differently. He could feel it. The subtle change in their eyes, the awkward pauses, the way some grown-ups would speak to him, but not with him. As he approached the marble front desk, he gave a polite smile to the receptionist, but before he could even say a word, a man's voice cut sharply through the lobby. Hey! Hey, you! What are you doing here? Jaden turned, startled. A tall man in a stiff white uniform came marching over, eyes locked on him like a target. His name tag read, Mr. Carter, manager. I just came to get some ice cream, Jaden said, holding up the dollars as proof. Mr. Carter didn't even glance at the money. This isn't a public place, kid. This is a private hotel. We don't let randoms just walk in off the street. Jaden blinked. But I'm not. You need to leave, Carter barked. Now. Behind the counter, Chloe Carter, Jaden's classmate and Mr. Carter's daughter, stood watching with an amused look. Her perfectly brushed blonde hair gleamed under the chandelier light. She leaned forward on the counter and laughed. Oh wow. Look who it is. Jaden from 7B, she said, rolling her eyes. Did you wander in here by accident? Or are you here to apply for a janitor job? The hotel lobby wasn't that busy, but it was just busy enough. A couple sitting on the couch near the window turned their heads. A bellhop paused mid-step. Even the pianist struck a wrong note. Jaden's voice cracked. My mom works here. I'm allowed. No, your mom probably cleans here, Chloe interjected. There's a difference. Jaden felt his heart pound against his chest. The blood rushed to his ears. He wasn't just embarrassed, he was humiliated. I just wanted ice cream, he whispered. Mr. Carter stepped forward, pointing at the doors. Get out. Or I'll have security remove you. And that's when the air shifted. Because from behind the entrance doors, a woman had just stepped inside. Dressed in navy blue heels and a tailored blazer, Maya Jordan saw her son, and she saw everything. She didn't smile. She didn't blink. She just said, loud and clear. "Excuse me, what did you just say to my son?" The moment Maya Jordan's voice echoed through the lobby, time seemed to pause. Jaden turned toward her, the burning in his cheeks slowly replaced by relief. His mother stood tall and composed, her expression unreadable, but her eyes were sharp. Dangerously sharp. Mr. Carter blinked, clearly startled by her presence. "Ma'am, this child was." "This child," Maya said, striding across the marble floor without missing a beat, "is my son." Jaden's chest swelled slightly at those words. Not because she was defending him, she always did, but because she said it like a declaration. Like he was something to be proud of. Maya stopped in front of the manager, her heels clicking with finality. She lowered her voice, but every word was razor-edged. "Would you care to repeat what you just said to him?" Mr. Carter straightened his jacket, trying to recover his authority. "He came in here without a guest pass. We've had issues with." "With what?" she asked coldly. "Kids. Or black kids." The air in the lobby thickened. A few guests had subtly moved closer, pretending not to eavesdrop while clearly watching everything. "I didn't know who he was," Carter muttered. "No," Maya snapped. "You didn't care who he was." Chloe stepped around the counter, awkward now. "Mrs. Jordan, we didn't know Jaden was." "Was what?" Maya's voice rose ever so slightly. "Someone with worth. Someone who didn't deserve to be laughed at and humiliated in public." Chloe looked at the floor, suddenly quiet. Jaden stood behind his mother, no longer trying to hide. She placed a firm hand on his shoulder, calming him, shielding him, reminding him with a single gesture that he wasn't alone. "I'm Maya Jordan," she continued, now speaking to the entire lobby. "I'm the owner of Jordan's Table, the restaurant inside this hotel. You know, the one your hotel brags about in every brochure, every social media post, every event where you pretend to celebrate diversity." Gasps moved like a wave across the room. Someone at the front desk dropped a pen. Mr. Carter's jaw fell slightly. You own the restaurant?" Maya turned to look at her son again. "And this young man right here, who you just threw out like he was trash, is the son of the very woman who keeps this hotel's dining wing alive." Mr. Carter tried to recover. "Mrs. Jordan, I'm sure we can talk this through privately." "There's no need to." "Oh, there is every need," she interrupted. "Because how many children has this happened to? Children whose mothers don't own the restaurant. Children without a voice." Jaden glanced up at her, eyes wide. His mother wasn't just standing up for him. She was standing up for every kid who had ever been told they weren't enough, just because of how they looked. And for the first time in that gleaming, gold-drenched hotel lobby, the truth was louder than the chandeliers, louder than the piano, louder than the shame. The silence in the Grand Marks Hotel lobby was deafening. Mr. Carter stood frozen, eyes darting between Maya and the onlookers now gathered in quiet curiosity. A receptionist whispered something into her earpiece, and a bellhop stood stiff near the elevator, unsure whether to stay or flee. Maya's voice broke the silence once more, steady, firm, but brimming with restrained fury. "You didn't just embarrass my son. You tried to erase him. Because of the color of his skin. Because of how you've been taught to see him." "I was just following protocol," Carter said weakly. "There have been incidents before. Unaccompanied minors. Unaccompanied white minors?" Maya asked. "Or just ones who look like Jaden?" Chloe shifted awkwardly nearby, arms folded, face pale. She didn't dare speak now. "I've seen plenty of teenagers come in and out of this lobby," Maya continued, her eyes locked on Carter's. "Some in swimwear. Some laughing loud, knocking over things. And not once have I seen you throw them out. Not once have I heard you yell at them like that. Carter opened his mouth, then shut it. His defense had crumbled before it even formed. Maya turned to her son. Jaden, baby. Why didn't you tell him who you were? Jaden shrugged, his voice quiet. I didn't think I had to. Maya smiled softly, sadly. You shouldn't have to. You should just be treated like a human being. Carter took a tentative step forward. Mrs. Jordan, I'm sorry. I truly didn't mean to offend. No, Maya said, cutting him off. You didn't mean to see him. That's the problem. You saw a threat where there was a child. You saw, less than, where there was someone raised with more grace than you'll ever understand. Behind her, more hotel staff began to gather. One whispered into a phone. Another stepped back, clearly texting. Let me be crystal clear, Maya said, turning to face everyone in the room now. I built Jordan's table with my own hands. I trained every chef, selected every ingredient, designed every dish that people fly in to taste. And I did it while raising this boy, who stood here today quietly, until your hate made him feel unwelcome in a place I built. Someone in the crowd softly clapped. Then another. Carter looked visibly shaken now. His face flushed red with embarrassment, or guilt. Jaden looked at his mother, his eyes no longer filled with fear, but awe. She wasn't yelling. She didn't need to. Her voice carried something more powerful than volume, truth. And truth had no need to apologize. From the corner, Chloe stepped forward. Mrs. Jordan. I didn't realize he was your son. Maya looked at her, coolly. So, if he wasn't, it would have been okay to treat him like garbage? Chloe dropped her gaze to the floor. No, ma'am. Good, Maya replied. Then maybe it's time both you and your father start asking yourselves why you're only sorry now. By late afternoon, the lobby of the Grand Marks Hotel had cleared, but the tension lingered like a stain on the walls. Maya and Jaden sat quietly in one of the corner booths of Jordan's table. The atmosphere in the restaurant was normally warm, filled with laughter, soft jazz, and the aroma of fresh rosemary and baked bread. Today, it felt still. Heavy. Even the waiters whispered as they passed, eyes flickering between mother and son. A tall man in a dark gray suit approached. He was older, dignified, with a hotel name tag that read, Mr. Levine, General Manager. Mrs. Jordan, he said gently. Thank you for agreeing to meet. I didn't agree, Maya replied flatly. You walked into my restaurant. He gave a small nod. Fair enough. Jaden looked up at the man, then back down at his napkin, folding it nervously. Mr. Levine cleared his throat. I've reviewed the lobby footage. And I want to start by saying, what happened to your son was unacceptable. Mr. Carter's behavior was not just unprofessional, it was discriminatory. And it will not be tolerated at this hotel. What are you going to do about it? Maya asked, still calm, but direct. We've placed Mr. Carter on administrative leave, Levine said. An internal review is underway. Pending the outcome, termination is very likely. We've also begun implementing mandatory sensitivity and inclusion training for all staff, effective immediately. And what about my son? She asked. Levine paused. Mrs. Jordan, we owe Jaden an apology. Not just a statement. Something meaningful. We want to make it right. Jaden finally spoke. Why does it take something big for adults to care? Levine didn't answer right away. He looked down, then back at the boy. You're right. It shouldn't. But sometimes, it takes people like you speaking up to wake the rest of us up. Just then, Chloe entered the restaurant. She hesitated by the door, biting her lip, then slowly approached. Jaden tensed. Jaden, she said quietly, I was wrong. What I said, what I did. I thought I was being funny. I didn't realize how much it hurt. But now I do. I'm sorry. Jaden didn't respond immediately. Maya studied Chloe for a long second. Are you sorry because of how he feels, or because of how it made you look? Chloe blinked. Because of both. But mostly, because I hurt him. Jaden finally looked at her. You laughed like I wasn't even real. I know, she whispered. And I'll never do it again. Maya stood slowly, placing a hand on Jaden's shoulder. If you're serious about change, Chloe, then it starts at school. It starts when you see someone being mocked, and you choose to stand with them. Chloe nodded. I'll try. Maya looked at her son. It's up to you, baby. Jaden hesitated. Then said softly, maybe. One day. But not today. And with that, the conversation ended. Not in bitterness, but in boundaries. The kind that say, you crossed a line, and now you know not to cross it again. 1 week later, the Grand Marks Hotel looked the same from the outside, grand, towering, spotless. But inside, something fundamental had shifted. Near the front desk, right where Mr. Carter once stood and shamed a child for simply being, a new bronze plaque had been mounted on the marble wall. It read, "Every guest deserves respect. Every child belongs. In honor of Jaden Jordan." Beside it was a framed photograph, Jaden and Maya standing in the kitchen of Jordan's table, both smiling, Maya's hand resting gently on her son's shoulder. The plaque was Mr. Levine's idea, but Maya's words. She had insisted that it not just be about her restaurant or her reputation, but about a boy who should have never been questioned for existing in a space his mother helped build. Jaden walked through the lobby that day with quiet confidence. Staff who had once walked past him without a glance now greeted him by name. "Good afternoon, Jaden," the receptionist said warmly. "Hey, champ," called a bellhop from across the floor. It felt strange. Not because he wanted attention, but because for the first time, he wasn't invisible. In school, things changed too. Chloe kept her word. She didn't just apologize and walk away, she sat beside him in class, shared her notes, and once, even stopped another kid from making a joke at Jaden's expense. "I've got this," she told Jaden quietly when it happened. "Let me use my voice now." At home, Jaden sat with his mother that evening at their small dining table. He was spooning his ice cream slowly, thinking hard. "Mom," he asked, between bites. "You think they really changed?" Maya looked at her son, her expression soft. "Some did. Some are still pretending. And some," she smiled, "just needed someone brave enough to show them the truth." Jaden thought about that. About the hotel. The crowd. The way Chloe had looked at him, not with pity, but with understanding. He poked at the melting vanilla in his bowl. "I still feel weird when people stare at me." "That's okay," Maya said. "Sometimes they stare because they've never seen someone like you stand tall before." Jaden looked up. "What do you mean, someone like me?" "I mean someone who didn't yell, didn't push, but still changed everything just by standing firm," she said. "You made them look at themselves. And baby, that's power." Outside the window, the city lights blinked like stars over the skyline. The same city where Jaden had once been pushed aside in a polished hotel lobby, now had his name mounted on its wall. He leaned back in his chair, smiling just a little. Because even if the world didn't always see him, he saw himself. And now, they'd never forget him again.